Hi, and welcome to Two Tired Teachers.
Today we have a huge announcement. We are so excited because we are going to Alaska. Okay, and one of the first things that we decided about this trip, first of all, was we started thinking, is this something we want to do? Are we willing to make this kind of investment? And then this is going to be by far the longest,
Most expensive.
furthest, most expensive trip we've ever made with our RV, well, that we've ever made. And so, the theme of ours is Alaska on a budget. Because
we have watched tons of videos about Alaska.
of RVers who've gone.
Yes, and how they've gone and what they've done. That's all been good, but
The main reasons to go to Alaska, there are two. One is wildlife, and the other is,
nature.
folks, the trip to Alaska, you're going to see a lot of wildlife and nature. And so
That is our excursion.
we are retired teachers. We live on our retirement. And so before we decided, yes, this is somewhere we're going to go, this is something we're going to do, we just sat down and said, if we're going to feel like we're missing out on everything because we're not taking lots of charters and things like that, we won't go.
No,
But we both agreed our big excursion is
the trip.
the trip itself. And so we encourage you, watch tons of videos of a lot of people that have gone.
And if you want all of those excursions, because you can take a lot, our channel isn't the one you necessarily want to watch.
Well, we're going to tell you what we have budgeted for this trip. There are some people that have budgeted that much for the excursions on their trip.
Yes.
And as we are looking at the trip, we will tell you up front. Right now, gasoline around us is selling for around $3 a gallon. We're hoping we average $6 a gallon. Being that much further, that much more remote, we're hoping it will average around $6 a gallon. From where we sit right here in central Texas to Fairbanks, which is the furthest point north we're going, maybe just a little beyond that, it is, I believe, 4,500, 800 miles, something like that. So we're ballparking that at 5,000 miles. There and back, that's 10,000 miles. If you've towed with anything, you know that you average around 10 miles per gallon, which means we're going to need around 1,000 gallons.
And
At $6 a gallon, that means we are budgeting $6,000 for fuel.
And that's if we don't go on any little side trips to anywhere, and we are.
We are. So we're assuming it's going to be around $6,000. That's what we're budgeting
Could
for
be a
fuel.
little more, a little less.
And then camping. We have already made, and if you're going to have reservations anywhere, you need to make them early. We made reservations in Denali January
Yes.
5th
And
for
there were-
mid-July.
And there were only,
Well, that one we were still able to get. I mean,
but it was a very few, wasn't it?
that's Glacier when we got to
Okay,
it. There were only, I
okay.
think, we had 3 sites and we booked those in February. In Canada, you're staying at provincial parks. That's like their national park system, essentially. But each person has to have, if you're over 17, has to have a national park pass. That's the way we understand it. We'll find out for sure when we get there. And you have to have that national park pass to drive the Icefields Parkway, which, if you're unfamiliar, that's the most, touted to be the most scenic drive in the world, but especially in North America. And it's just north of Glacier National Park. You get to Calgary, and then it's like a national park is Banff and Jasper. They're joined together with the Icefields Parkway.
And it's kind of like the Natchez Trace in our country in a way.
In a way, except it's more populated and more well-known.
And the campsites, they do charge.
They do charge. But they have parks all along. But to stay at any of those that are provincial parks, you have to have this pass. So
both people have the pass.
And there's a camping pass. Camping fee.
And there's a fire fee.
If there's a fire pit, you pay a fee to have a fire.
Whether you have one or not.
But the point being, if you've watched our channel, you know we camp for free as much as we possibly can. And we're going to hold true with that. But that entire section from Banff to Jasper, you must have a campsite. You cannot do any kind of dispersed camping. And so we're going to have to, that's going to be part of, we've allotted $1,500 for campsites where we're unable to camp for free.
Yes.
We are trying to make educated guesses on this.
And that's what it is. From what we've heard and what we've read, we will do a lot of dispersed camping.
Yes, but there are some places where you just don't have that choice. And then groceries. Notice we said groceries and not food because our travels, we prefer to fix our own meals.
Yes.
We feel better. We enjoy our travels more that way. Now, when we've been traveling, honestly, when we've tried to eat out, sometimes it's just been really disappointing.
Yes.
Oregon coast, we thought that would be a wonderful place for fish. We
got
a meal and spent more than we would ordinarily because we're eating out. This is and it was not wonderful. So there are things that are unique and special on the Alaska to Canadian highway, the Alcan. There are some places that are famous for their honey buns. Neither one of us is a huge honey bun fan. I like apple fritters or bear claws, whatever you want to call those. I may see if they have that. If they do, I'll get one. But it's not like this. And then there's a place in Anchorage where they have ice cream cones that are baked Alaska. So they set this ice cream cone on fire, I think. Anyway, if we go there, I probably will get one of those. Kind of like when we were in Michigan, I ate pasties because it's there. It's what that area is known for. So we're not saying we're not going to eat out, but we're not planning on a
meal
budget.
after meal after meal after meal. And I imagine we have one fish meal out.
Yeah. And so anyway, we have allotted $3,500 for groceries for the 3.5 to 4 months we're going to be gone.
And that means groceries and eating out.
Yeah, that's for food. And once again, because of how remote the area is, things are more expensive. We hope that covers it. We're not 100% sure. Now, excursions. When we started planning the trip, if you've watched our channel at all, you know I love to fish. And this is an example of what we're talking about on a budget. And so I had planned my big excursion, the expense I was going to make would be going on a fishing charter. That's something that would be worth it to me. And I am not begrudging these people their money. I get it. You're using their boats, you're using their fish finders, you're using their expertise, their rods and reels, everything. They're providing everything. But when I found one that had their prices listed there, this place said that their charters start at half day. Some of these places have charters that will go for days, but they start with a half day. And the prices start at $375 per person. You will need a fishing license on top of that. Which, for what it is, that was, I'm not, like I said, I'm not begrudging them.
It's a fair price, but
when I went to look at the fishing license, and I've bought some out-of-state fishing license before, For an annual out-of-state fishing license for Alaska, meaning it's good for the entire year. So for the entire 2.5 months that we're actually, 3 months, 2.5 months, we're actually in Alaska, I can fish anytime we're near water. That fishing license is $100. And I thought, okay, well, if I get that, that leaves $275
To play with.
that I could spend on other, well, if it's still water, I can fish for trout. I fish for trout in South Dakota. I feel comfortable fishing for trout. But if it's moving water, I still want to be able to fish, and floating trout bait just isn't going to cut it in moving water. So, at Thanksgiving, I have a cousin that lives in Colorado who does some fly fishing, and I got him to help me set up an Amazon cart. I got a Redington 5-weight fly rod. If you don't know anything about fly fishing, that's what he said is a good average rod and good for trout. We got floating. He told me what I was going to need, and the Redington, you can spend thousands of dollars on a fly rod. This was a rod and reel combo that came with the backing, the fly line, the leader already pre-spooled, and it was, I believe, $89, which once again, now I've still got plenty of money to buy flies and all the other stuff floating. I've bought a bunch of flies, and as a matter of fact, when I looked at it, I still had enough money left over that I got some inexpensive waders. And the reviews I read on the waders, somebody had said they bought them to go to Alaska.
Yes.
I don't plan on really getting out there but, wading a long way out. But I know I'd be a lot more comfortable dry than
Yes.
wearing boots that weren't quite high enough. And so I have spent less than $375. I have the license and everything I'm going to need to fish anytime we're near water the entire time we're there. So that's what we're talking about. Instead of spending that on a half day, I spent that much money, but it's something that's going to last for the whole time. And I know nothing about fly fishing. I've watched videos. I've gone to the park and practiced where I can actually shoot some line. I'm going to have fun. And I'm going to have fun anytime we're near water. And so that's an example. We will plan. There's I believe a wildlife preserve we're looking at going in to, but
there are places where you can go to see the huskies that are in the Iditarod, and sometimes you can even ride a sled that they're pulling.
Yeah, there are. I mean, we are looking forward to being there.
Yes.
I mean, that's our big deal. We're going to have a great time. We have no doubt about that this is going to be just an amazing trip that we will remember for the rest of our lives. And we're not going to break the bank to do it.
No.
I mean, it's not cheap. Taking an RV to Alaska is not cheap.
And a cruise will be lots cheaper.
But it's only going to be a week instead of months. And so, if you are looking at going to Alaska and maybe you feel as though, well, I have kind of a set budget, I'm not going to be able to, some of the charters we're talking about, we saw people rent jet skis and go out. We've seen people take charters out watching on the water to go wildlife and go out to glaciers.
We've seen people rent boats in Alaska to take them out for several days.
Yeah, chartered fishing boats. We've seen people take I think it was a half-day charter where they took a helicopter ride up and landed on a glacier and had a picnic or had lunch.
Or there are places where you cannot go without taking a plane.
And they've taken airplanes out to go bear watching, bear viewing, those kinds of things. Folks, we're planning on trying to do some bear viewing, but where we don't need a charter plane to get to. those things are not wrong or bad.
No.
And if you've got money to do those things, do it. There are, pretty much whatever your interest is, you can somebody else went horseback riding.
Yes.
But anyway, whatever you're interested in, you can probably find a charter or something to take you out to do those things. And that's the point. We're not going to feel deprived because we're not going out on those special separate things. We are looking at the trip as our huge excursion, and it's exciting. It's a bit overwhelming, to look at this trip. And we want to just go in and tell you that that's what we're going to be talking about the next couple of weeks. We're going to be talking about planning the trip and what we've gone through to do that, and preparing some of the things that we've done to get ready to go on this trip.
To the RV and to the van.
And purchases that we've made to help us on this trip. And you're saying, well, this video is going up in October. Are you leaving in October? And the answer is no. We left in June. We're recording this before that. This is actually the very end of March. But we're leaving, for you, we left the 1st of June. But folks, we're on vacation. And we do record the videos. We love sharing our adventures and what we're doing. But service is so limited in Alaska. Even if we could, we wouldn't be posting them. But we're going to start uploading these. And for those of you who are looking at going in 2025, you're going to want to follow this series and kind of look and see, hey, they did that. It was relatively inexpensive. And we're going to do our very best to let you know how closely we stayed within this budget. Writing these things down at every gas pump is not always something we keep up with, but I'm going to try. And same thing with our camping. I'll do my very best. We can't guarantee about the grocery stores, but once again, we're going to try and let you know how closely we were able to stay within this budget. So if you're looking at going, you have kind of a realistic idea of what to expect as a bare bones, and then you get to see how much fun we had. So join us for the journey. Thanks for watching Two Tired Teachers.